Howdy guys, lovely to see you all again. Today we're going to be looking at the third solo, Marty's delightful solo from Captive Honor by Megadeth. Let's take a look. Right guys, let's take a look at the first section. Keep in mind that we're going to be basically around the F sharp minor pentatonic for the majority of this solo. We're going to start off with this little lick. So as you can see, there's a lot of similarities between each kind of fragment of that lick. I'm going to start off with a big bend from 17 to the second string, and I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm playing 14 of the first string, and I've got to pull off from 17 to 14 on the second, and at the end of that I've got a slight bend on 16 of the third string, and then I'm doing a flat pointer covering the second and the first string from 14, and that's going to sound like this. Let's put that 17 bend on the second string in front of that all together. Okay, then I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm just going to start my bend from 16 at the second string. So it's exactly the same thing twice with different bends, and then we're going to go for a third one, but my bend's going to go back to 15 this time. So I've got exactly the same phrase 3 times, just the bend is descending chromatically. So I'll play that at a gentleman's pace. Exactly the same thing 3 times, and then I work into this phrase. I've got 2 arpeggios here. I've got a C major to start, only across 3 strings. I'm doing a pull off from 15 to 12 on the first string, and then I'm going to play 13 on the second and 12 of the third. Then I just reverse that back up, so just working in triplets. And I'm finishing that on 12 of the first. So we're going to have 2 triplets. Now my next triplet is going to be kind of similar, but the way that it ends is a little bit different to what we just looked at. So what I've got here is a pull off from 15 to 10 on the first string, and then I'm going to play 11 of the second and 12 of the third, and that's going to give us a G minor arpeggio. And I'm just going to repeat those last 2 notes again, so I'm going to backtrack to that 11 on the second string, and then play 12 of the third again. So all together, this is what we should have. That's the whole section. One more time with some tabs. Okay, so after we finish that G minor arpeggio, we're going to land on 11 of the third string for the start of the second section. So we're going to have... So after I've hit that 11, I'm going to have 2 bends from 17 of the second string again. Then we work into this chromatic lick. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 14 to 13 on the first string. And then I've got 4 notes working chromatically back from 17 on the second string. 17, 16, 15, 14. Okay, then from that point, I'm going to play 17 of the third string and then start ascending up again. So it's going to play 17 and then 14, 15, 14 on the second string. So all together, at the end of that, I'm going to play 17, 16. Now you'll notice that at one point in that, I'm using my pinky there, but I'm ending on my ring to my middle because I need my pinky available for the next phrase that follows. So it might look a little bit strange, but if you're a bit more prepared, you won't get screwed over at the last minute. So let's go through that chromatic phrase nice and slowly. Hopefully that's all making sense. Then I've got this. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play a chromatic from 19 of the first string, 19, 18, 17, 16, all next to each other. Now the next part is a little bit less chromatic. I'm going to play 20, 19, 17. So we've got... Now when I get to that, I'm going to have this kind of little power chordy fifth interval thing twice. So I'm going to be playing 17 of the second, 19 of the first, and I do that twice. At the end of that, I'm sliding from 17 to 14. So altogether, hopefully that's all making sense. Let's have a look at what we've got thus far from the start of this section, then we'll add the last chunk to this. Hopefully that's all making sense. After that, I've got a pull off from 15 to 14 on the second string. And then I'm just going to play 19, 14 on the second string as well. So we've got, at the end of that, I've got a very slight bend on 17 of the third, and then I'm backtracking to 14 on the second string again. So this guy's making a lot of appearances. At the end of that, I'm going to do a bend on 16 of the third string now. And then after that, I've got two hammer-ons into a pull-off as well. So I'm going to be ending on 14 of the second string. So I'm going to go hammer, pull-off, hammer again. And I should be ending on that 14. So I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 notes in one pick. At the end of that, we're going to catch the bend that leads into the third section on the offbeat at the end of the bar, and that's going to be from 17 of the first string. That's the whole section. So we've got, and that's the whole thing. Let's go right back to the start of the section from 11 of the third string. We'll do it all at a gentlemanly pace, and then again, even slow with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. All right, let's have a look at the start of the third section. I'm going to use that 17 from the bar before, which is this. The 17 bend from the first string, so we'll use that. Bring that back down to a regular 17, then we work into this phrase. Slow that down. I'm hammering on 14, 17, 14 on the first string, hammer on into a pull off, and then I jump to 17 of the second, back down to 14 of the first. So we've got all together. At the end of that, so what I've got here is I'm bending 17 of the second string whilst I'm holding 17 of the first string as well. So I'm playing them together as like a double stop with a bend, and then I'm just going to play the first string by itself. At the end of that, I'm going to hit them together, and I'm almost going to do like a double bend. It's almost like a bent vibrato thing. So all together. At the end of that, I'm going to do a leading note from 14 of the second string, and I work into this phrase. So from that point, you'll notice that when I do that bend, I'm bending 17 of the first and the second string together. So as you're bending it, try and catch the two notes together on the same fret, and we work into this phrase. That's working down the pentatonic nice and meat and veg there. So starting from 14 of the first string, then I want to play 17, 14 on the second, and then 16, 14 on the third and the fourth. Nice and simple. So what I had at the end of that was a cheeky Dorian note. Just playing 16 of the second string and then 14 of the third. Let's go from that bend now. At the end of that, cheeky slide from 14 of the second and the third string as a sliding double stop. And that's the whole section. So let's just go from the start of that chunk, and then we'll go right back to the start. All right, let's go right back to the start of the section. One more time with some tabs. All right, guys, let's have a look at the fourth section. I'm going to start off with 2 bends from 19 of the first string. At the end of that, I'm going to go back to a regular 19 and then play 17, and then resolve that on 19 of the second string. So all together. After that, I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. So I'm still in the F sharp minor pentatonic. I'm playing 14 on the third string and then hammering 16 to 17. At the end of that, I'm rolling a flat pointer from 14 of the second string to 14 of the first, back to the second again. At the end of that, big sexy bend from 17. All together. Big sexy bend from 17. Then I work into this phrase. This is really, really fun to play. So after my big sexy bend on 17, I'm going to play a single note on 17 of the second to 14 of the first. And then I have this rolling legato idea. So I'm going to start off with a 4-note legato. I'm playing 16, 17, 16, 14, all in one pick. At the end of that, I'm going to be playing 16 of the first, 17 of the second, and then back to 14 of the first. So it's going to go like this. Hopefully that's making sense. Then the next thing that I do is pretty much the same phrasing, just to string up, and we're just following the scale diatonically. So we'll go through this one slowly. I'm going to do 4 notes in sort of a legato fashion. I'm going to be playing 15, 17, 15, 14 on the second string, all in one pick. And then to finish that off, I'm playing 15 of the second, 16 of the third, and then 14 of the second. So back to back. Hopefully that's all making sense. There's a little bit more at the end of that, but let's have a look at what we've got thus far from the start of the section. Hopefully that's all making sense. And then I just work down the F sharp minor pentatonic. There's just a cheeky grace note in there. So I was playing 16 to 14 on the third and fourth string. And then I've got a grace note slide from 16 to 14 on the fifth string, resolving to 12. And then I finish that on 14 of the sixth. And that's the whole thing. So let's go right back to the start of the section, play it again at a gentlemanly pace, and then again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. And that was part 3 of my Captive on a Megadeth tutorial. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And please click the links in the description to my Facebook group and my Patreon. And if you want to, you can check out some of my Udemy courses. And ta-da, check out my book, Ultimate Shred Machine. Lots of delightful exercises, tips and tricks for upping your shred, legato, sweeping and tapping. Hope you guys enjoyed the lesson, and I will catch you guys all very soon.